the story of the United Way, how it began and how it's working today.
There's a place for us, somewhere a place for us, peace and quiet and open air, wait for us somewhere.
Americans have always been dreamers. Sometimes their visions and ideas have changed the face of our nation. One idea started 100 years ago, a mile high in the Rocky Mountains. Out of the boom and bust of the gold rush, something happened, something uniquely American. An idea was born. In Denver in 1887, there were people who needed help. And as always in our country, there were those who wanted to help. 4 men of different faiths were meeting. Monsignor William O'Ryan, a Catholic, Father Martin Hart, an Episcopalian, the Reverend Myron Reed, a Congregationalist, and Rabbi William Friedman.
1,000 in a few short years. There's not enough housing, there's no sanitation, and there are children working in the mines.
Yes.
And still they come with hopes of getting rich.
And they soon realize that when something like that fire strikes, it destroys everything. Not only lives are lost, but when people have no hopes, no dreams, well, that's why we're here. We all saw what happened the other night. I heard the bell ringing. I went to the call down by the river. Volunteers were already bringing water, but it was useless against that wind. Those poor souls didn't have a chance. And out of that inferno came a family, a mother and her 3 young ones. Everyone was doing what they could, but when this woman looked at me...
You know about my husband. He got us out, then he went back to get the others. We don't know where he is.
My daddy coming back?
Is there any place for us?
She was asking if there was any place for them. I'm asking, is there any place in us for these people who really need us?
Father Hart, I think that's a question that we can only answer together. I assume that's why we're all here.
We need to rally our resources. Right now it's shelter, warm clothing, food, and blankets. We can't draw a line on who's to receive the help. We have to ask everyone to give, not just the wealthy.
Well, Ben, can I count on you?
Well, this is, it's quite revolutionary.
But it feels good, doesn't it?
I should say.
They had the courage to try, and the first United Way was begun. It seems that all the history that had preceded them, and all the challenges that lay before them, were not as important as what lay within them.
You mean you'd see to it that the money is administered to the different agencies who are helping people? That it would go to the truly needy?
Yes, sir, that would be an important part of it.
Well, gentlemen, if you could make this work, you'd be performing a most important service. As I see it, you'd not only be helping people to solve their problems, but more importantly, you'd be giving us a chance to be part of the solution.
Come, we've calls to make, miles to go.
Yes, but it feels good.
Ah, yes.
And that was the beginning. Over the years, the idea grew in communities all across the nation. A family of agencies. When times got tough, Americans gave until there was nothing left to give. The times have changed, but not the people, not the idea. The tradition of helping has survived all the tests of time, and for 100 years it kept on working. Today, our problems are different. Single parents need daycare services for their children. Young people's lives are being lost because of the problems of drug and alcohol abuse. The numbers of homeless and poverty-stricken are growing in our major cities. Battered women and children need help. Senior citizens want to live out their lives with dignity. And in every community, through large agencies and small, United Way volunteers are working to solve problems. But you never really understand United Way until you meet it face to face. That's why we want you to meet Rodney and Melissa Smith, two happy parents filled with the excitement and joy of learning they'd be having twins. But premature births of their twin girls was the forewarning of the hardest news this young couple would have to face. They were told that their beautiful little girls had brain damage.
You know, once someone finds out that all of that potential has been taken away from a child that they've loved and carried for 9 months, I think that's probably one of the hardest things a human being ever has to hear.
It was the saddest day of our life.
Lauren's case was mild by comparison to her sister Emily's diagnosis. Emily would never walk or be able to live like other children.
The doctors always showed us things in a very negative way, and they always said she'll never be able to eat, she'll never be able to swallow, she'll never be able to roll over or sit up. And the difference between that and what we got at the United Way agency was to show you everything that the child could do, even if it was just one thing, and to start from there as a base, always allowing you to be able to see all the tiny little victories along the way. And I think that was the point where we got the foundation to be able to love her and see her as a normal child.
For Lauren Smith, the whole world is opening before her. She'll be able to go to school and someday to college. Emily's goals are simple: learning how to speak, to sit up by herself, to reach out from the chair in which she's bound to the world around her. She's never stopped trying. Each day she knows little victories, and you're part of those little victories that United Way celebrates each year in every community. That family and those little girls are reason enough to give. But there are thousands of people with all kinds of problems, and because of you, they're making little victories happen every day.
We all share in this victory tonight because we're all a part of the United Way. We're all volunteers. And it's a very special honor for me to introduce a fellow volunteer. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gregory Peck.
Thank you very much. Tonight, this victory and this campaign has a special significance. In a sense, we've come full circle, because this campaign really began 100 years ago, when a small group of clergymen started that first United Way back in Denver. They gave us their dream, and you've proven that voluntary spirit is alive today. And that means that all of you and everyone who gives to the United Way will be there every time a child is afraid or an old person is lonely. You're there. So when a kid laughs, or when people are happy, and when someone isn't cold or hungry, you're there. And when you give, you're saying something else. You're saying, don't give up. You can make it. I'll give you a helping hand. There's a vein in the American character that is a lot brighter, a lot more solid than the gold of 1887. So, to unite 1887 to today is still a mile-high idea. The idea of helping has been passed through all of this history to you. All the world's gold cannot outshine you. The kind of people you are is what priceless really means. Please. Now, just a minute. I came here to thank all of you. And the best way I can think of to do that is to have some very special guests. Thank you personally. Here are Lauren and Emily Smith. To every United Way volunteer and every contributor, we want to say thank you for all that we've been and all we can become. Together, the United Way. It brings out the best in all of us.